I just finished reading this book, Essentialism by McKeown, and for me this was a very interesting book. I've been exploring minimalism for a few years, and I thought essentialism would be the natural prolongation of being a little bit more fanatic about simplifying things. And Essentialism is a great book that really makes you think about what are the most important things in life, and what are the ways that you can make your greatest contribution to people around you, to the planet, and really try and giving a few concrete techniques on trying to eliminate everything else. One of the quotes that really stuck with me from the book is something along the lines that if you don't decide your own life, someone else will do it for you. And what he means with that is that if you don't manage to prioritize, to say no to things that aren't the perfect opportunities for you, then what you inevitably do is that you also say no to really the things that are most important for you, because that means that you will do work that isn't that great for you. You will attend social gatherings that aren't really so valuable to you, and all of those things take time, and they take time away from the really what matters. And then he goes on to give a lot of advice on how to say no, the importance of saying no. And something else that was very interesting was, for me a bit ironic at first, was when he talked about people who do well in one area, or organizations or companies that do really well, because what will be the result of doing well is that more opportunities arise, more possibilities, and that this often is a critical point in the evolution of that person's career or life or the company's future. Because when you're faced with all these opportunities and possibilities, it's so easy to think that you can do it all, because it's so tempting. This is a great opportunity. It isn't the perfect opportunity, but it's like 80%. It's interesting. But what really Greg repeats throughout the book is that if you do something that's cool, but that's good but not great, you do take your focus away from what you could be doing, or a possibility that could come in the future that really is what's going to be great, that's going to be the best for you, the best for also in terms of your impact and your contribution to the world. And then I'll check my notes. And to give a really simple tool for deciding whether you should jump on this opportunity or not, Greg gives an example of one question you can ask yourself whenever you're in doubt. He uses the metaphor of clothes. So if you are if you're in doubt whether you want to keep this shirt or not, you should ask yourself, if I didn't have it now, how much would I be able to give for this shirt? And then the answer tends to be much less, because there's a psychological effect that we humans, we attribute much more value to the things we have because we are afraid of losing them than we actually would attribute to the very same thing if we didn't have it already. And that also goes with every other opportunity in life. So if you're, for example, stuck in a project that frustrates you a bit, but you still feel like you have to see it through, you should ask yourself, if I didn't have this, if I wasn't on this project now, how much would I be willing to do in order to get on this project or get this job? And that's, at least it made me reevaluate a few of the projects I'm on and how much sense it actually makes for me to be there when perhaps someone else should be the person there instead of me. When you have decided what projects you actually want to spend your time on, one way to make this process a bit to simplify the process, make it more efficient, is to really look at the whole process, and instead of trying to do more, everything better, he recommends looking at where does it stop in this process. And when that's solved, we go to the second weakest link, and so on. And this is a much more efficient way of tackling a process or a problem, because you always work on what's the most pressing issue right now. I highly recommend reading this book. For me, it was after really being interested in minimalism and productivity and efficiency for quite a few years. A lot of the things from this book were known, or they made sense, or they were presented to me in a different way. But a lot of things were also very relevant and very new, because for me, being a minimalist was certainly not enough, because it only got me so far, and exploring other ideas and other ways, such as essentialism as presented in this book, is a nice way to continue to really, it synchronizes very well with minimalist ideas, productivity ideas. So it's, I think, to find your way, it's very important to explore the ideas that are out there, and then you put all these ideas together and you find what's really working for you. But essentialism is really a great contribution. But I also think that, and as he says as well in the book, this is not something you can't become an essentialist from one day to the next. And really, this is a thought system that really takes time to implement. And I think reading one book is also not enough to really totally transform your life, because this will give you some ideas that you will test out, but it's really also about doing the work, getting the habit of, and really exploring, trying, failing, trying new things in order, again, to find what works for you, and to really, if you think the essentialist idea as presented in this book works for you, it will take practice to actually get there, to be able to know what's important, prioritize, have the courage to say, or maybe the wisdom to say no to opportunities that are good but not great. And for me, the last point is perhaps that it's made a lot of sense to start with your physical space. Minimalism is really about having less stuff and simplifying things. And I think this is, it's so tangible. So really cleaning up your physical stuff is a great exercise, because you have the thing here. It's so easy to think, okay, should I keep it? Should I not? And so it's kind of a metaphor for that also can be applied to the big decisions in life. So I think exercising minimalism in your space really puts you into the mindset, gives you the practice of really evaluating if this brings value to my life or not, and that gives you some of the tools to really embark on the next stage of the journey that might be essentialism. So I really think that this book, that was the wrong book, this book really makes a lot of sense in this context of a broader exploration also of minimalism and your own well-being, what is important for you, what makes you happy, etc. So I highly recommend reading the book, and lots of luck.